In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, April 30th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Cloudy day on the way, high 60. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 48. And then Friday, the sun reappears. Sunshine, high 65. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 47 and cloudy in Peekskill up in Westchester, 48 and cloudy in Deal over in New Jersey, and it's 49 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
The King and Queen charm New Yorkers. Will those NYPD robo-dogs ever be armed? It's getting closer and closer to an LIRR strike deadline. Bears are showing up in places in New Jersey where they never have before. And a very strange call for firefighters in the Hudson Valley. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. King Charles, Queen Camilla kicking off their trip to New York yesterday with a visit to the 9/11 memorial where they honored victims of the 2001 attacks. They spoke with relatives of those who had died. The King and Queen, they motored around the city in these armed cars. They met with dignitaries yesterday at the memorial. They were accompanied there by former Mayor Michael Bloomberg. They laid flowers at the site with a personal handwritten note. The royal couple then shook hands, spoke to a line of people at the memorial, including Mayor Mamdani, Governor Kathy Hochul, New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill, other dignitaries as well. Before leaving, they did not make any public remarks, which is in keeping with the tradition. Then they separated, the King and the Queen. The Queen went to the New York Public Library at 42nd Street. Actress Sarah Jessica Parker was her guide through the library, along with Anna Wintour. Other important figures in the UK and the U.S. publishing industry were there as well. The Queen spoke with school children. She read an excerpt from Winnie the Pooh. Apparently, it's the 100th anniversary of the publication of that beloved children's book. And then she donated a doll, the Queen did, that's connected to the book.
One of the world's greatest libraries, and somewhere I've always wanted to visit.
Christopher Robin, in Winnie the Pooh, lost Roo, the little baby kangaroo, in an orchard about 100 years ago. She was carrying in her purse the Roo that she was going to give us. So there was this little doll right in her purse. It was just magical.
Yeah, she donated Roo to the library. King Charles, he went uptown to Harlem to meet with kids at an after-school urban farm program. The issue of sustainability has been championed by the King. You got to go back to like 1970. The King toured this after-school urban farming effort that works with young people affected by food insecurity. And they grow their own food. They have their own chickens. He helped feed the chickens. The kids who were there, they say they were wowed by the King.
And when he came, I had to get like all the little kids in order because they were like running around. They were like so excited to meet him. So he was actually very nice.
At Harlem's Grown, which is on 134th Street, Charles planted lavender and mustard seeds with primary school children. He visited this chicken coop where he was given a bag of food to feed the chickens. He watched a live food demonstration that educated kids about food and nutrition while showcasing some of their farm-grown vegetables. And here's a woman who started in the program 19 years ago, and she also was thrilled to show the King around.
Today was completely surreal. real. He wanted to come here. Like, he's talking to Congress. He has other things to do with the trust. And, like, he's like, no, I want to come here. I want to learn about farming. I want to see how it's done. And, like, for me, when I heard that, it went from him being King Charles to just Charles.
It is interesting to hear that everybody who had a chance to meet the King and Queen yesterday talked about how personable they were. Last night, the King and Queen celebrated the 50th anniversary of the King's Trust, which was the Prince's Trust, where they do raise all kinds of money. It's a UK-based charity that helps children develop skills and confidence to find jobs. Anywhere from 11 to 30 years old, they give money to help start businesses. So last night, they had a fundraiser for that and celebrated the 50th anniversary of the trust.
Over 5 decades, 1.5 million young people around the world have been supported by my trust, and only now do quite a lot of them actually admit they were started by me.
That's funny. The King's Trust was on display last night. Lionel Richie was the host of this event. He didn't sing, which the King was upset about.
Ensuring that their talent and ambition continue to strengthen our societies for many years to come. And with the help of people like Lionel Richie, and I really mind that he isn't singing this evening, because it's always a great treat. I don't know how he does it. He must gargle with port or something.
Yeah, the King had a lot of funny lines during this trip. And New Yorkers who had a chance to watch the King and Queen as they were ferried across the city, impressed by what they saw. There were moments where the Queen rolled down the window of her car and waved to people in the city streets.
He was so affable. He was just like saying hi to everyone, chatting it up. And I don't know, I had a very positive feeling about the King and the Queen.
I think it's great that these two countries are still trying to work things out together. Hopefully it means something.
Trump loves the royal family by the looks of things.
It is the first British state visit since Queen Elizabeth's visit back in 2007. Audrey is at the British Tea Room, Tea and Sympathy, which has been around forever. They were celebrating the royal visit yesterday.
Appropriate. We've got our, British flags adorning the restaurant this week to celebrate. Lots of King Charles china that we've ordered in specially.
And then leave it to Mayor Mamdani to try to dampen this visit, which has been, by all accounts, a fantastic visit, not just to Washington, D.C., but to New York City today. The Queen and King are in Virginia. But Mayor Mamdani did not get a private meeting with King Charles, but he told reporters yesterday that there is an issue he would raise with the King.
If I was to speak to the King separately from that, I would probably encourage him to return the Kohinoor diamond.
The Kohinoor diamond, which weighs about 105 carats, was mined in India. It's one of the largest cut diamonds in the world. It's on display at the Tower of London as part of the British crown jewels and was surrendered to the Queen. You have to go back to 1849 as part of a peace treaty. India, where Mamdani's parents were born, wants it back, claiming it was stolen, but the UK government says it was gifted and that British law prevents the return of artifacts obtained during colonial times. That's what the man wanted to talk to him about. Go figure. WABC News Time, 5:09. That 15-year-old who was shot by a teenagers on a Queen subway car earlier this week, we're now being told he's paralyzed and on a ventilator.
The victim's family told the Daily News the boy was hit in the neck and spine and that his prognosis is grim. Police say it's the second time the teen's been shot this year. The first time was in February when he was shot in the leg near his family's home in Far Rockaway. Police believe the victim confronted his shooter Monday evening after seeing him on a Manhattan-bound A train. Words were exchanged and then life-threatening gunfire. The NYPD has released images of the suspected shooter showing a teen with braids, medium build, and complexion dressed entirely in black except for his gray sneakers. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
Out to Long Island, Nassau County police arrested a teenager after a gun was recovered at a high school there. Police responding around noon to reports of a weapon at the Schubert School. That's in Baldwin. Families say they did not receive any notice from the school district until long after the scare was over.
I can't say I'm surprised in this day and age. You have to expect anything.
I just think it's crazy that they didn't notify anybody, Like, that's dangerous for kids and parents to not know about them having a gun inside the school.
Officials pointed out quickly there was never a threat to the Baldwin School District or the community, but parents say, wait a minute, why didn't you tell us at least while or right after it took place?
They probably don't want to alarm the parents. They want to get the full scope of what's going on for parents to be alarmed. So I'm not sure what the protocol is.
Like Nassau County is on top of everything. Surrounding towns on top of everything, so it was very surprising.
Police did not say if the gun was loaded at the time it was found, or they did not identify the teenager who is in custody. 5:10, let's go down to Washington. President Trump says he spoke with Russia's Vladimir Putin yesterday. The president told reporters Putin offered assistance during this phone call to help end the Iran war, specifically helping the U.S. retrieve Iran's enriched uranium.
I said I'd much rather have you be involved with ending the war with Ukraine. To me, that would be more important.
Now, enriched uranium is what's used to make nuclear weapons. The president went on to say that Putin could soon announce what he called a little ceasefire regarding the war with Ukraine.
Look, we're not going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And we've knocked out their Navy, we've knocked out their Air Force, we've knocked out their anti-aircraft everything, apparatus, everything they have, their radar, they have very little left. I asked him about, even if it's a little ceasefire, there's so many people being killed, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, speaking of the Iran war, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, he was testifying before Congress yesterday about the war, facing some pretty intense questions from Democrats. Maine Democrat Jared Golden says he's skeptical of cuts to destroyer output and funding for the battleship the Navy no longer uses.
The proposal cuts production of the destroyer down to just one ship, scraps the future destroyer, and proposes $17 billion to build just a single new battleship, a class of ship the Navy decommissioned in 1992.
So Hegseth was joined by the Joint Chief of Staff General Dan Kane at this budget hearing with the House Armed Services Committee. Democrats questioning Hegseth that the war, they say, has accomplished little, with Iran refusing to give up its nuclear weapons.
To begin construction so quickly, breezing right through design. It's well documented that expediting design and preemptively moving to construction is the greatest recipe for failure.
Divesting to invest, which was sold under the previous administration because of continuing resolutions and insufficient budgets, created a gap where now you're getting rid of the very things that you need right now, and you don't have available things of the future that you said you would have because of the way this department did business.
Now, some of that's really into the weeds, so it's not even worth going into. But here was the big moment yesterday. A Pentagon official testified that the cost of the war so far, $25 billion. That is the first public estimate we have received from the Pentagon since the war began. And this is all playing, of course, on the economy back home. Drivers continue to feel pain at the pump as prices of gas continue to rise.
Regular gas prices surging to their highest levels in nearly 4 years as negotiations to end the war between the U.S. and Iran remain deadlocked. The average cost for a gallon of regular now stands at nearly $4.23, a big blow to American wallets already under pressure.
Now, Guts correspondent Christine Romans reports California has some of the highest gas prices in the nation. A gallon of regular fuel in that state goes for $5.98 today. Gas Buddy analyst Patrick Deheen says prices are rising just ahead of the summer travel season as well, when it always goes up a little bit.
Americans are probably reevaluating their summer travel plans, which could actually further drive gasoline prices up. That could eventually lead to gas prices that could approach or set new records.
Jet fuel prices also spiking, driving up airfares, causing some airlines now to reduce their schedules ahead of the busy summer travel season. In some cases, they've canceled certain routes. 5:14, the Fed announcing yesterday it's leaving interest rates unchanged in what's likely to be his last event as Fed chair. Jerome Powell said recent economic activity is expanding at a solid pace, but he warned the Iran war has led to a lot of economic uncertainty, so he left things the way they are.
Developments in the Middle East are contributing to a high level of uncertainty about the economic outlook, and we will remain attentive to risks to both sides of our dual mandate.
So Powell knows that he's on his way out, but he did talk about his role at the Fed after he steps down as chairman.
I plan to keep a low profile as a governor. There's only ever one chair of the Federal Reserve Board. When Kevin Warsh is confirmed and sworn in, he will be that chair.
Yes, and meanwhile, President Trump's pick to be the next Fed chair has cleared his first Senate hurdle before his final confirmation. Kevin Warsh on his way to becoming the next chair, though this vote yesterday was on a strict party line.
Warsh's confirmation came down to one man,
Republican Senator Tom Tillis, who was holding up the process until the Department of Justice last week agreed to drop its criminal probe into Powell's handling of renovations at Fed headquarters. Tillis said he was confident the investigation, which many, including him, considered bogus, was over. No Democrat voted in favor of advancing Warsh's nomination to the full Senate. Some have argued that he has shifted his position on inflation to better align with Trump and will be the president's puppet, undermining the independence of the U.S. Central Bank, something Warsh denies. Tony Waterman, Washington.
In a moment, we'll head down to North Carolina, where James Comey surrendered yesterday. Get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:16, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Good morning to you, Noam Lennon. Start with a look ahead to tonight, 7 p.m. Our Knicks, they'll be out in Atlanta for Game 6 against the Hawks, 2.5-point favorites as they head in with a 3-2 series lead. They could wrap up action tonight and head on into the second round. Last night around the NBA, out in Detroit, Pistons beating the Magic 116-109. Orlando still leading that series, I should say, 3-2. And out in Cleveland, Cavaliers beating the Raptors 125-120 in Game 5 of that series. So Cleveland jumps out to a 3-2 lead there. And out in Los Angeles, the Rockets holding on against the Lakers 99-93. LA still leading that series 3-2. Said the Diamond in Arlington, Yanks got shut out 3-0 in their series finale against the Rangers. Still taking the series 2-1. New York, which had won 10 of its previous 11 games, was held scoreless for the second time this season. Top Yankees prospect Elmer Rodriguez made his major league debut, walking 4 and striking out 3 en route to his first loss. Up next for the Yankees, a day off today before opening a 3-game series at home against Baltimore tomorrow night. In Queens, the Mets got killed 14-2 by the Nationals in the middle game of their 3-game series. Juan Soto homered against his first big league team for the second consecutive night and finished with 3 hits, but the Mets were done in by another poor pitching performance at the back of their rotation as New York lost for the 16th time in 19 games, making his first start since April 13th after a demotion to the bullpen. David Peterson was charged with 7 runs in 3 2/3 innings. New York allowed its most runs this year, and they were booed again by a sparse crowd in Queens. Up next for the Mets, the righty Freddie Peralta has lost 3 straight starts heading into the series finale this afternoon, scheduled for a 1:10 p.m. first pitch from Citi Field. That is your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time, 5:19. Most Americans right now think it's a bad time to try and buy a new home.
2/3 of Americans say high prices and high mortgage rates make this a bad time to buy a home. 65% think home prices will continue to rise, but some cities may see price drops. Only 25% of non-home owners predicted that they would be buying a house in the next 5 years. That's a record low. 45%, almost half, do not plan on buying a home in the foreseeable future. I'm Rory O'Neill.
Former FBI Director James Comey self-surrendering yesterday in North Carolina. President Trump says the former FBI director used a term to kill him that gangsters use. The president told reporters that 86 is used by mob bosses when they order an associate to kill someone. Well, you remember it was Comey that posted 8647.
You ever see the movies? 86 'em. The mobster says to one of his wonderful associates, 86 'em. That means kill him.
It was Comey who posted a photo last year of seashells on a beach arranged to form the numbers 8647. Surrendered yesterday after he was charged federally for threatening the president's life. When asked if he thought his life was in danger, the president said it probably was.
People like Comey have created tremendous danger, I think, for politicians and others. Comey is a dirty cop. He's a very dirty cop. He cheated on the elections. He tried to help Hillary Clinton.
Comey made a brief appearance in court yesterday. Then he responded himself in a video speaking to a camera on his Substack about the fact that he says he's innocent, done no wrong.
I'm still innocent. I'm still not afraid. And I still believe in the independent federal judiciary. So let's go. But it's really important that all of us remember This is not who we are as a country. This is not how the Department of Justice is supposed to be.
Now he waits to hear what his next court date is. 521. A Chinese national has been extradited to Houston, where he's facing federal charges of computer intrusion during the COVID pandemic. China expert Gordon Chang says the trial will probe into whether China was trying to block a cure to COVID.
This is important because COVID-19, of course, was an emergency worldwide.
Court papers show the co-conspirators targeted U.S.-based universities and researchers working on COVID vaccines and treatments.
China was trying, I think, to prevent the world from developing effective measures.
In fact, the acting U.S. attorney in the case says they want answers for crimes that they say struck at the heart of American science and security. 522, down to Texas, where lawmakers there tasked with examining last year's deadly hill country floods are now asking that Camp Mystic, where that flooding took place, to be shut down as the investigation continues.
This was a mass casualty. Mistakes made. I know they want to make it right. I think making it right is hitting a pause button here.
That's a state senator. This week's hearings revealed that teenage counselors were not trained on what to do in case of a flood. 27 kids and counselors were killed last summer. State senator says it's too soon to open the camp, which wants to welcome girls back next month.
I stood on those grounds where Cypress Lake Camp is. Right down here, there's still trunks of little girls.
If an operator has violated their duty to protect these kids, then I believe there should not be a mechanism for them to continue operating.
Now, the state senators won't have the final say. It's state regulators that are in charge of giving camps their licenses, but they have yet to give that camp its license for the summer. 523. A judge is pushing court proceedings in the Nick Reiner case to September now.
The decision was made during today's court hearing, citing evidence still being collected in the case. Autopsy reports are also still pending. The 32-year-old Reiner will remain behind bars without bail. He's accused of killing his parents, Hollywood icon Rob Reiner, and his wife, photographer Michelle Reiner, at their home in Brentwood last December. He's facing 2 counts of murder. His next court appearance is scheduled for September 15th. Today's court hearing was initially expected to involve setting a date for a hearing to determine if there's enough evidence for him to stand trial. I'm Daniel Martindale.
524, the Florida House has passed a new congressional map mid-decade that cuts Democratic-leaning districts from 8 to 4. The vote yesterday, 83 to 28. It's a majority Republican legislature in Florida.
For communities in Central Florida and South Florida is that their voice is being diminished and they are losing representation.
The bill's sponsor argues the map is based on 2020 census data, should be upheld in court, and repeatedly stressed that the map drawer's intent is to make things more fair.
I believe that there is a likelihood that that map will be upheld against legal challenges. But I believe the map before us today is a good map and based on viable legal theories and likely to be upheld.
Democrats, though, say it's gerrymandering.
There's been no new census. There's been no court order. There's been no legal requirement to do this again. This isn't a correction, members. This is a choice.
This is messed up. Our priorities in this government are upside down.
And people in Florida who are upset about this looking to Louisiana, where they will now have to redraw their congressional map. After a Supreme Court ruling yesterday, correspondent Gary Grumbach reports that the High Court struck down a map that included a second majority black congressional district.
Justice Alito wrote the opinion of the court today in that 6-3 decision, and he said in part, quote, allowing race to play any part in government decision-making represents a departure from the constitutional rule that applies in almost every other context.
Yeah, that case centered on how much race can be considered in redrawing districts. WABC News Time 525. A United Airlines flight was hit by a drone while it was landing at San Diego International yesterday. United flight from San Francisco had 54 people on board a Boeing 737 when the crew reported hitting the drone on approach to the San Diego airport.
We hit a drone probably at around 3,000
feet on our base leg. Red drone heading west.
That's how the pilots reported the drone strike. This was about 8:30 yesterday morning.
Do you have like an approximate size or how many engines or style or anything like that?
It was so small I couldn't tell. It was red. It was shiny.
Thankfully, that plane landed safely with passengers getting off normally, and ground crews found no damage to the aircraft. Now they're trying to figure out what that drone was all about. 5:26, President Trump believes there's a shot at a moonwalk happening during his time in office. He was asked about the possibility as he welcomed the 4 astronauts from NASA's historic Artemis II mission to the White House yesterday.
We don't like to say definitely because then you say, oh, we failed. Because I think we could say we're ahead of schedule. So we have a good shot.
Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christina Koch, and Canadian mission specialist Jeremy Hansen invited by the president to the White House.
It takes people like this to make our country great. And again, I've never seen anything. Everybody I knew, they wanted to see the launch, and they especially wanted to see a successful landing. You know what they do? One of the things they do that's so important is for our military offense and defense. And a lot of people say, well, is it worth it? It's really worth it because what's happened militarily, you see what we're doing militarily, a lot of that comes from space.
Yeah, the 4-member crew returned to Earth earlier this month after a 10-day mission that took astronauts further into space than ever before.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, April 30th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Cloudy day on the way, the high 60. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 48. And then Friday, the sun reappears, high 65. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 47 cloudy in Peekskill up in Westchester, 48 and cloudy in Deal over in New Jersey, and it's 49 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time, 5:40. We're clicking closer to an LIRR strike. Boy, would that be bad because there's really no contingency plan that would work to get people off the island into the city. It would be like buses. It would not be good. So an LIRR labor dispute going public yesterday during the MTA's normal board meeting as a union leader took to the comment section. You know, there's a section where they finish these public meetings and just regular folk can get up and make comment. Well, when they did that, Gilman Lang, who represents the Locomotive Engineers Union, spoke during the public comment session. Now, the issue is money. That's what they want. They want more money. The union's one of 5 threatening to walk off the job if the LIR does not increase its pay. Here was Gilman Lang during this meeting yesterday.
While the MTA publicly boasts about expanding service and strong revenue, our members fall further behind. We have made compromises in our ask and are ready to sit down at the bargaining table to settle an agreement now.
Now, I should point out the LIRR is the largest commuter line in the nation. So you're talking about hundreds of thousands of commuters. MTA Chair, CEO Jano Lieber, responding later in this session after he heard what Gilman Lang said and said, hey, if you want to make a deal, come to a back room right now. We'll do it.
I suggest that those Long Island Railroad unions who said that they want to resolve it today go in the back room. And Anita Miller, our head of labor relations, is here. Rob Free, the president of Long Island Railroad's here. And let's go in the back. Let's go in the back and negotiate.
Now, we did hear they actually did meet, so that's a good sign. The two sides last negotiated more than a month ago with a May 16th strike deadline approaching. Both parties have agreed to raises totaling 9.5% over 3 years, but they remain divided on the fourth year. Wouldn't you like a 9.5% raise, by the way? The LIRR has offered a 4.5% increase on that 4-year with productivity gains. The union wants a 5% raise. So you would think, okay, they should be able to come to a resolution. Riders are watching this, getting very anxious about it.
That could be troublesome. I'm a business owner, so I have to commute into the city to conduct business. So just like today with the cancellations, I had to move an appointment.
It's obviously definitely frustrating because we all have schedules and commitments that we need to make.
The last LIRR strike, you have to go back to 32 2 years ago. It paralyzed the region. This time, the MTA does have a contingency plan that includes rolling out a number of limited shuttle buses that would go to places like Jamaica, drop you off at the subway. But none of this is great. I could go through the whole thing, but let's hope it doesn't go to that. So we're waiting to see when the two sides will meet again. The hope is after yesterday's meet, which apparently was sort of an off-the-record thing, that maybe they can come to some sort of conclusion, because it doesn't seem like they're really that far apart. 542. Nassau County has a new law on the books now to protect pets.
I wouldn't want to be chained up when it's 20 degrees out.
Nassau County has signed a new law setting limits on when and how long you can leave pets tied to a post outside. The new pet tether law is an effort to curb animal cruelty, according to county exec and current candidate for governor Bruce Blakeman.
To a lot of people, they're saying, well, why would you even need this law? It's just common sense. Well, some people don't have common sense when it comes to their animals.
The new regulations say you cannot tether animals overnight, and there must be a person outside with the animal. You also can't tether animals if they are sick or under 6 months. In addition, there are temperature restrictions on tethering. It's only allowed when it's somewhere between 35 and 85 degrees. Any violations could result in a $1,000 fine and up to a year behind bars. I'm Liz Radbali for 77 WABC News.
Yeah, good for Nassau County and Bruce Blakeman for doing that. NYPD robots are banned from being armed with weapons. You remember when they rolled out those robo-dogs, Mayor Adams, those robotic dogs, and he said they called them dig-a-dogs, I think is what they called them. And there was, of course, a fear that they usually send these dogs into into places where they have to negotiate scenes, and they can have a speaker on them, they can communicate back and forth. But there were people worried that these dogs would be armed at some point. Now, Mayor Adams said he didn't think that would ever happen. The NYPD didn't think that that'll ever happen. But yesterday, City Council member Jennifer Gutierrez said, I don't necessarily believe either side of those, of the mayor or the NYPD. So she's going to introduce a bill today that would make sure these robotic dogs were never armed with weapons.
It's a proactive approach. We do not want these robot dogs to take the place of a police officer.
Yeah, so she says she doesn't blame the NYPD or anybody on the staff. She just wants to make sure there's never a time where they arm these robo-dogs. New Yorkers say they think that's a good idea as well.
It's like the movies, right? Eventually that'll happen. Malfunction, failure, that kind of thing. They may kill the wrong person.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the idea of an armed robo-dog either. They freak you out. Have you seen those walking across? They're cool, but they're also a little frightening at the same time. In a moment, we'll head out to northern New Jersey. I'm talking right across the river, where they're now seeing bears. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. And here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Start with a look ahead to tonight at 7 p.m. Our Knicks will be out in Atlanta for Game 6 of their first-round playoff series against the Hawks. They're 2.5-point favorites heading in with a 3-2 lead, so they could wrap up business tonight against Atlanta. Around the rest of the NBA playoffs last night, your final from Detroit saw the Pistons beat the Magic 116-109 in Game 5 there. Orlando still leading that series 3-2. Out in Cleveland, the Cavaliers beat the Raptors 125-120 in Game 5 of that series. Cleveland still jumps out to a 3-2 lead, I should say. And out in Los Angeles, the Rockets holding on against the Lakers 99-93 in Game 5 of that set. And L.A. still leading that series 3-2. To the Diamond in Arlington, Yanks got shut out 3-0 in their series finale against the Rangers, still taking the series 2-1. New York, which had won 10 of its previous 11 games, was held scoreless for the second time this season. Top Yankees prospect Elmer Rodriguez made his major league debut, walking 4 and striking out 3 en route to his first loss. Up next for the Yanks, a day off today before opening a 3-game series at home against Baltimore tomorrow night. In Queens, the Mets got killed 14-2 by the Nationals in the middle game of their 3-game series. Juan Soto homered against his first big league team for the second consecutive night and finished with 3 hits, but the Mets were done in by another poor pitching performance at the back of their rotation as New York lost for the 16th time in 19 games.
And yet Carlos Mendoza still has his job?
Yes, he still has his job as of right now.
Sure.
Yeah. John Heyman, actually, who comes on this show a good bit, the great MLB insider and columnist for the New York Post, he was in the press room yesterday. I'm not sure if it was before the game or after the game, but he point-blank asked manager Carlos Mendoza, he said, well, do you think, Manager Mendoza, that maybe the team's just not very good?
And what did he say?
And Mendoza goes, "Damn, John, that's
cold.
That's a harsh question, man."
That's a great question.
It's a great, yeah, of course. You don't think Carlos Mendoza is sitting there thinking, "What other options do I have? This is the team I have to put on the field."
Right.
And
not good.
And they're just not good. Thank you, President Trump.
That would have been a great moment if he said, "You're right. My team sucks. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do. They are so bad."
You know what, John? Why don't you write that? Why don't you write that down today on the Post? There you go. That was a great moment yesterday. But, David Peterson, he returned from the bullpen back into the starting rotation yesterday, and he went right back to not being very good, 3 2/3 innings. And the Mets allowed their most runs this year, and they were booed once again off the field at Citi Field. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they were booed pretty regularly all last night.
Is anybody there?
No, but so the boos don't really resonate because there's like 15 people in the stands.
I'd love to see what the attendance is. I mean, that can't be good, obviously, for the Mets organization.
A sparse crowd is how it was described. Up next for the Mets, already Freddie Peralta's lost 3 straight starts heading into the series finale this afternoon. That's a 1:10 p.m. first pitch from Citi Field. That is your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time, 5:50. Officials in northern New Jersey, and I mean like really northern New Jersey, like close to the New York City border, urging residents to be vigilant after we're now seeing black bear sightings in residential neighborhoods where they have really almost never been seen before. So this week in Teaneck, police going to Facebook and other social media sites to say, hey, be aware, there is a black bear in the area of the Teaneck Armory on Teaneck Road. Now, nobody could remember seeing a bear in that area.
Looked like a young one looking for its parents or something like that. So we live amongst nature, so...
And then on Tuesday morning, Englewood's mayor posted a video on social media showing a black bear walking in front of a home on Pleasant Avenue. The mayor said local school officials had to be contacted. Police patrols asked to focus on routes where students usually walk to school, again in places where they don't normally see a lot of bears. In Cresskill, they were alerting residents all this week, too, about the fact that bears were waking up there as well, walking the streets.
Maybe it's just bears kind of waking up because it's getting warmer now. So, yeah, we get all kinds of animals. We have like a family of fox on our property. So.
Yeah, and then in Essex County in West Orange also, there have been a number of sightings this week. Apparently this is the week where the bears wake up from their winter nap. The Department of Environmental Protection is warning people, don't feed the bears, which is always a problem too. And if you're caught feeding those bears, you could get a $1,000 fine. From northern New Jersey, let's go down to the Jersey Shore, where prices at New Jersey beaches are going to go up this summer.
A survey of towns by NJ.com finds beach badge fees for this upcoming summer season increasing in at least a dozen shore towns like Avalon, Bayhead, Monmouth Beach, Stone Harbor, Surf City. The 3 most expensive beaches, according to the findings, are in Deal, $200 for the season, followed by Lock Harbor at $150 for the season. Midlothian, which jumped $25 to $145 for the season. The average cost for a daily beach badge in the state is about $10. Season badges will run on average about $65. I'm Jennifer Bolsoni.
And let's stay in New Jersey. A Port Authority announcing that major service improvements to PATH trains following the completion of that $430 million program.
There are 3 new miles of track, upgrades to stations, switching equipment, and rail cars. Port Authority Chair Kevin O'Toole says it'll mean the return of 7-day service starting May 17th on all 4 PATH lines. This includes resumption of direct weekend service from Hoboken to Manhattan's World Trade Center and Journal Square, plus an end to the Hoboken detour for Jersey City. city riders. There is a 25-cent fare increase to help pay for the upgrades that'll take effect May 4th, bringing the cost of a single-path ride up to $3.25. In New Jersey, I'm Liz Warner.
That PATH train is still the best deal out there. Mayor Mamdani's staff trying to get more tenants now to testify at the upcoming rent hike hearings following the mayor's campaign promise to freeze the rent. But he says if you want the rent frozen, you need to show up at these rent guideline board meetings in mass numbers like they have in the past to convince people on the board to freeze the rent.
This is not about telling New Yorkers what they should say. This is about ensuring that everyday New Yorkers are as involved in the processes as the impact that these processes will have on their day-to-day lives.
The city's Rent Guidelines Board holding hearings for tenants and landlords with a preliminary vote on the matter. That's going to come May 7th, and then a final vote in late June. Usually that May 7th vote holds for the June vote.
If we want New Yorkers to believe in these processes, we must make it as easy as possible for them to be a part of these processes. And that is why we need to get the word out to as many New Yorkers as we can.
Now, people from Mamdani's Office of Mass Engagement will be doing outreach to urge tenants to testify next week. The mayor says only about 400 of the roughly 2 million rent-stabilized New Yorkers who a vote would impact have testified or did testify at last year's hearings. While we're talking about the mayor, City Hall releasing details of a redesign of an 11-block stretch of Park Avenue here in Midtown.
We want to transform Midtown Manhattan by providing residents and visitors alike with more usable public space.
So this proposal would make the avenue's median bigger. It would add some green space as well within the median. And then it would also remove one travel lane in each direction.
We want our streets to be the envy of the world. There are many parts of our streetscape across the 5 boroughs where we cannot accurately describe them as such.
The plan would also add seating, landscaping, and have the possibility for bike lanes. This would be on Park Avenue, by the way, between East 46th and East 57th Street, right where I drive through. It'll make my commute a little more miserable. 555 out to Long Island, where a kitchen company is going under, and that has left many who are renovating their kitchens on the island without.
Residents gearing up for a renovation are now left scrambling after the abrupt closing of Wren Kitchens. The London-based company announced it's filing for bankruptcy and shut down 15 of its stores, including 11 out on Long Island. One homeowner there tells CBS he is worried he's out nearly $10,000 in down payments and loans.
Not even a goodbye letter, nothing, just we're gone, we're done, we're closed. We're all left out on the lurch. They left me high and dry.
One worker saying the employees were also blindsided by the news.
And said they were closing all locations and then the computers went out.
And you just were out of a job like that?
That was it.
Employees are launching a class action lawsuit saying the company violated federal labor laws. No official word from Wren Kitchens, and the New York Attorney General's office says they are reviewing complaints. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
And we'll end this story up in Beacon, New York, in the Hudson Valley. Are you one of these people? Sometimes I do this. You're in the swimming pool, and you get to where the jets, where the water comes out, and you like either put your back up against it, maybe you stick your finger in it to see what it feels like. Well, a little girl, a 10-year-old girl, did just that at the high school pool this week, and her finger got stuck underwater. So firefighters had to respond to this pool to find the 6th grader. Her middle finger stuck into one of those pool jets. Thank God she was in the shallow end. But it took a while for them to figure out how to get her finger out of that hole. And so here's firefighters who said they never really responded to a call like this.
Very unique, complex rescue.
When you think of a pool jet, you think of the little round ones like at a residential pool. This was an Olympic-sized pool. It's actually a large stainless steel channel.
Yeah, so the firefighters covered the girl with a blanket. They covered her ears to protect her from the noise and pieces of metal while they saw through the side of the pool. They even had to channel water out of the pool so the tools would work. And in the midst of that commotion, firefighter Dan Wysocki was holding the girl up and then talking to her about everything except what was happening to distract her.
Spoke about, what grade she was in, who her teachers were,
anything that would get her mind off of the situation.
Yeah, once the firefighters were able to actually see her finger, they used dish soap and a spoon-like metal tool to slide her finger out. Then they wrapped the girl in a blanket to avoid hypothermia. She's A-okay, but firefighters say they'll be talking about this one for a while.
It was a unique rescue, and it was something very cool to be a part of.
Yeah, nice job done by the Beacon Fire Department.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.